Teal dear, this is an increasingly common theme amongst feminists these days, going after marketing and advertising while having absolutely no idea what the hell they are talking about. But let us crack open a cold one and see what is inside.
Pop quiz, y'all. Which of the following industries probably hates women? Is it A, beer, B, beer, or C, beer?
I wonder where this is going.
Sup everyone, I hope you're surviving finals. I'm over here trying to survive my shock about Bud Light's terrible slogan they released last week. Bud Light, the perfect beer for removing no from your vocabulary for the night.
I see nothing unusual or untoward about this slogan, but that's maybe because I'm a patriarchal oppressive shitlord. So come on Laci, tell me all the reasons why this slogan is so very, very problematic.
Weird, you know that slogan kinda sounds like Bud Light is totally down with date rape.
Oh yes, of course, they were obviously thinking about rape when they came up with that slogan. Because that is the only thing that men ever think about, right? Ignoring the fact that it states that it is a good way of removing the word no from your vocabulary, as in you, the drinker, not someone else's. I would suggest that maybe this slogan is perhaps trying to imply that if you imbibe their drink, you will live a slightly more carefree lifestyle, a lifestyle in which you are more likely to say yes to things that you would otherwise deny yourself, perhaps encouraging their audience to be a little bit more cosmopolitan in their life philosophy, by presenting them with some sort of aspirational goal. But nope, it was absolutely all about rape.
Yeah, use our alcohol to take advantage of someone, because who needs consent? Right on, bro!
The funny thing about this video is not even 2 minutes after making this statement, you are going to contradict yourself. And I'll point that out when we get there.
Bud Light has thankfully retracted and apologized, but it's pretty amazing to me that something that awful climbed all the way up the corporate ladder. Like, how many people sat around at a table thinking this up? And how many executives signed off on it before it got printed on thousands of beer bottles? Way too many.
Doesn't that somewhat imply, then, that out of all of the people working on this product, rape was not first and foremost in the minds of any of them? I do stand by my earlier conviction that the odds are when this was being pitched in the boardrooms, it was being pitched as some sort of aspirational slogan, encouraging people who drink the alcohol to say, look, you're going to drink this and it's going to make you say yes to more of life's experiences. You're going to live an adventure. You're going to have a life that is more fulfilling and more varied. As opposed to a bunch of people sitting around in a boardroom saying, how can we better oppress women with the fear of rape using our products? Which out of the two sounds more likely?
And yet, Bud Light's accidental hurrah for sexual assault doesn't surprise me. Based on their history, their only accident was making it too clear what their marketing strategy is really about.
That is one hell of a slanderous accusation for you to make. Because basically, you are now asserting that Budweiser endorses rape. Something which I'm sure their legal department would dispute you on.
For decades, the beer industry has subtly and not so subtly sold Americans misogyny, along with their drinks. Often in beer ads, scantily clad women are portrayed as prizes for men, pretty things to look at and try to get with the help of alcohol, of course.
Congratulations, you have just validated their advertising campaign. And now I'm going to explain why. And it's based rather conveniently on your own little sentence there, liquid courage. So permit me to set the scene for you. There are a group of men. They're in a bar. They're having fun, just having a chat amongst themselves, nice and quietly, no ruckus, nothing bad is happening. And one of them spies an attractive woman at the bar by herself. And he would like very much just to go and talk to her and get to know her as a person and find out more about her. And because we live in a society where men are encouraged, if not outright told, that they have to make the first move when it comes to any sort of social interaction with a lady, and this man knows this, and in the past he has tried and he has been given the cold shoulder, been totally ignored, or in some cases been rather aggressively told to go away, for no other reason than daring to approach someone and say hello on the off chance that they would be open to a social interaction in a public place. Understandably, with a history of being outright and in some cases viciously rejected, the man is somewhat skeptical to do so. He is nervous. He might even be scared. Enter alcohol, a substance that has been used by our species as a social lubricant for millennia. A substance that has been repeatedly proven to lower inhibitions, i.e. remove the word no from your vocabulary, so this man can now, instead of saying, oh, you know what, I won't bother, there's no point, I'm not interesting, she won't be interested in me, he just takes another sip of beer and says, oh, you know what, I'll go for it, what's the worst that can happen? That is the sort of scenario that Budweiser are thinking about when they say remove the word no from your vocabulary. And it is something that you have entirely justified by saying that men need a little help from alcohol in order to approach women. I know this is a foreign concept to you, Laci, and to other feminists like you, but some men get nervous in social situations, especially when they are dealing with a woman that they find attractive. Shocking, right? Men have emotions. But don't just take my word on this sort of situation. Alcohol has actually been studied in regards to the social behavior of our species, with scientists from one study concluding that alcohol stimulates social bonding, increases the amount of time people spend talking to one another, and reduces displays of negative emotions. And they then go on to say that results showed that alcohol not only increased the frequency of true smiles, but also enhanced the coordination of these smiles. In other words, alcohol enhanced the likelihood of golden moments within groups provided alcohol being more likely than those offered non-alcoholic beverages to have all three group members smile simultaneously. Participants in alcohol drinking groups also likely reported greater social bonding than did the non-alcohol drinking groups, and were more likely to have all three members stay involved in the discussion. And from a follow-up study, which was conducted using what I've just read to you as a reference, alcohol consumption enhanced individual and group-level behaviors associated with positive effect, reduced individual-level behaviors associated with negative effect, and elevated self-reported bonding. Our results indicate that alcohol facilitates bonding during group formation. Assessing non-verbal responses in social context offers new directions for evaluating the effects of alcohol. So, Laci, drinking alcohol does help to remove the word no from people's vocabulary. It makes them less negative and encourages positive social interaction when used in moderation. And I would like to point out to you that this effect is universal on both men and women, since equal numbers of men and women were used in both of those studies. This idea of yours that encouraging social bonding is in some way causing people to rape is all in your head. This is simply your subjective opinion. Stating it as fact is wrong. But we're going to come back to just how subjective you are a little bit later.
Women are sexed up waitresses, servants, or pretty background accessories. Their breasts and butts zoomed up on in slow-mo.
Except for all of the times that they're not. And there's rather a few of those times. In fact, there's quite a lot more of them than you seem to be making out. In fact, there's so many of them that me dragging this sentence out just to buy myself more time to put the examples on the screen is getting a little bit awkward. But lo, the examples are still rolling. Are you beginning to realize just how cherry-picked your assertion is yet? Sure, you will be able to find gendered examples of marketing targeting beer more towards men, or a certain type of man, but you will equally be able to find plenty of adverts out there which are entirely gender-neutral. In fact, you have been looking at examples of gender-neutral beer adverts for nearly a minute now, so I think it's time we maybe moved on.
Some of the ads are just so gratuitous that it's really not clear if they're selling beer or women's body parts.
Are you going to put up even a single example that actually backs up your claim? No, of course you're not. I mean, I'm not denying that there are definitely beer adverts with sexual connotations out there that do make use of attractive women to sell their products to men. But this is no different from other companies using attractive men to sell their products to women, or using attractive women to sell their products to women, or using attractive men to sell their products to men. Marketing absolutely can rely on sex appeal and the concept of aspiration, but I find it very interesting that this concept of aspiration is only a problem when it's women being used to advertise things to men and none of the other combinations. Except for times when land whales are made to feel insecure.
Beer companies basically advertise, hey, if you drink our beer, you'll get laid. all the ladies will be yours. Turns out that's not exactly how it works, because women are human beings and they get to make their own choices. Portraying beer as a way to access women's bodies makes it easier to justify predatory behavior like sexual harassment, touching without permission, and taking advantage of women sexually.
Okay, time to watch some beer adverts. Let's see if you can spot the misogyny. First of all, a Carlsberg advert from 2013 entitled Spartacus.
Apparently, somebody here thinks I'm a monkey. Well, this monkey is gonna fire somebody. Who is Spartacus?
I'm Spartacus.
No, I'm Spartacus.
No, I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
That calls for a Carlsberg. So who's paying for these?
Okay, so that was an advert extolling the virtue of camaraderie, showing a fair and relatively equal representation of both men and women, all sensibly dressed and in no way sexualized. Nothing rapey about that. Next up is an advert from Beck's from 2012 entitled Ways to Rome. So an advert about two men taking a trip and bonding over a mutual love of music, but I'm sure there was something about rape in there somewhere. Up next is an advert that is amusing for a whole number of reasons, given what you're trying to say about beer adverts, from Amstel beer from the early 2000s.
Understand me like I understand you. Oh, don't you get excited.
Amstel understands that men are not always that romantic, and we think that's a shame for you. So this one's for the ladies. Our gift to you. What a lovely gesture.
So that is a beer advert featuring men apologizing for being men because women don't like men being men, but I'm sure there is something about misogyny in there somewhere. Needless to say, I think we can quite safely say that this opinion that you have of the beer industry being some sort of misogynistic anti-woman powerhouse is just absurd, and is based purely on horrendously cherry-picked examples.
Beer has been marketed exclusively toward men.
Nope. This is a demonstrable lie. And also, we get to talk a little bit about supply and demand while we're at it. So I suppose this mini-section here is a nice little follow-up to my pink tax video. Back in the late noughties, a beer company by the name of Coors actually attempted to tap the female beer drinking market, with a range of beers named Anime, and these beers were advertised exclusively towards women. And I would like to take this moment to point out that women only make up 17% of people who drink beer. That is not a large market, despite being worth nearly £40 million. So it should come as no surprise that within 1 year of creating and advertising this brand, Coors axed Anime as a product, because not enough women bought it. the girl-friendly beer exclusively targeted at women was outsold by your supposedly misogynistic, sexist beer. Women did not make the change. Maybe, just maybe, this should tell you something about women and their consumption habits. Women do not necessarily care how a product is advertised. They are going to buy what they want to buy. Because as you yourself said earlier in this video, they are their own people who can make their own decisions. And when a beer was aimed specifically at them, they rejected it. And this is not the first time that this has happened, because there was another beer called Chick Beer, made by the Chick Brewing Company, which seems to have suffered the same fate, since their website no longer exists, and nor does their Facebook page. They may still be in production, but they're really keeping it quiet, assuming they are. So this assertion of yours that beer is exclusively aimed at men is incorrect. The simple reality is that in a free market society, women do not want to buy as much beer as men. This is why the majority of beer commercials are aimed at men. What you are doing is putting the cart before the horse. In reality, men want beer more than women, therefore advertisers cater more to men. It is not advertisers make adverts for men, therefore men buy beer, as you seem to be asserting that it is.
Resulting in this bizarre gendering of even alcoholic drinks.
And as I've already shown, it wasn't actually the advertisers that caused this divide, it was the customers speaking with their wallets.
Beer is for guys. Wine is for ladies. And it's weird, we've ascribed these sexist personalities to the drinks too. Beer is friendly, it's something a dad offers another dad, it makes guys goofy.
I find it hilarious that you've got a picture of Homer Simpson there and are stating that beer is shown to make guys friendly. Homer Simpson is a character who is portrayed as a feckless, blundering alcoholic.
Alan Sir Jr. I'm Princess Margaret.
I'm drunk!
In fact, there have been several episodes of The Simpsons over numerous series that have touched on Homer Simpson's alcoholism and how it makes him miserable, and how it has almost cost him his marriage several times.
Wine, however, is uptight and catty, somehow. Guys are heckled for ordering girly drinks. Whenever I order a beer, the waiter assumes it's for the guy at the table. What, so I can't enjoy a nice happy brew because I presumably have a vagina? Come on!
That's never actually happened, though, has it? If you say order drinks with a meal and someone who is not the person who took your original order brings you your drinks and meal, they may very well assume that the beer is for the man. But as we covered earlier, that is because men overwhelmingly drink more beer than women. That's not sexism. That is someone forming an opinion based on observable trends.
It's possible that this gender turmoil starts on the inside. Bud Light's parent company, Anheuser-Busch, only has one female executive out of a team of 16, along with 2 women on its 14-person board.
Ah yes, here we go. It's the patriarchy's fault that women don't drink beer. Because more women sitting in the boardroom of a beer company will totally change how women in the marketplace shop. I mean, it worked for Anime and Chick Beer, right?
Francine Katz, one of the only women to make it into Anheuser-Busch's top strategy committee, ended up filing a gender discrimination lawsuit in 2009. She said, "I worked with nearly all men. They didn't consider us their peers. They fostered a locker room and frat party atmosphere. There were 18 men and 2 women on her committee, and the man in her position before her made $4.5 million per year, while Katz was offered less than a quarter of that, at $1 million per year. She lost the lawsuit in 2014.
There are several things wrong with what you've just said, and several things you've missed out. An interesting thing to note about the jury that oversaw that court case is that 7 of them were women and 5 of them were men. So I guess we can throw patriarchy out of the window because a larger number of women than men decided that Katz didn't deserve that money. You also assert that the man before her made $4.5 million per year. which is incorrect. He only made $4.5 million in his last year. So a large amount of that money could very well have been some sort of severance pay. You never know. But to assert that it was $4.5 million per year is incorrect. It should also be noted that Jacobs apparently had other jobs at the company, such as sitting on their board of directors, something that Katz never had to do. I get that you're trying to sneak some sort of wage gap message into here, but just like the actual wage gap claim, this one also doesn't stand up under scrutiny.
Now, the saddest little cherry on this sad, melty Sunday, though, is that it's all just kind of dumb and unnecessary. You don't need misogyny to sell beer.
Which is why this video is full of beer adverts that are in no way misogynistic, and many of them are gender neutral. And I would just like to point out that just because a professional model is paid to pose provocatively with a product, that does not mean that it is misogyny. Remember, that woman has free agency to do with her body as she pleases, including selling her likeness for money.
People of all genders like to get drunk. They could sell a whole lot more by not marketing beer as the exclusive drink/date rape drug of boys' clubs everywhere.
And this is now where I get to point out your glorious contradictions. According to you, beer isn't advertised for women, because you have this crazy notion in your mind that we live in a society where women are discouraged from drinking beer. How then, if this statement is true, would you use beer to facilitate rape? Because on one hand, you're saying that men are trying to actively discourage women from drinking beer, and then on the other hand, you're telling us that men are actively trying to get women to drink beer so they can rape them. Which one is it? And if it's just alcohol that you're concerned about being used as some sort of date rape facilitating drug, why aren't you just campaigning to have all alcohol banned? I'm starting to think that you don't actually know what your message is at all.
They could double their market just by acknowledging that women exist and that we're human beings.
Nope, as we've already covered, women only make up about 17% of the beer drinking audience, so that wouldn't be doubling their audience, and second of all of those women who want to drink beer are already drinking beer. I fail to see the problem here. I also couldn't help but notice that you have no idea about economics and how supply and demand works.
Yes, folks, women are not just repositories for penises, and men are not drooling Neanderthals. Hot takes, you heard it here first.
Yeah, men totally aren't drooling Neanderthals, except for the fact that you've just had an entire video in which you're calling any man who buys a woman a drink a rapist.
Alright, babes, let me know what you think down below, and until next time, stay braless.
I have no need for your laughable human mammary gland restriction devices.